welcome to Sectors Up Close. I'm Elena Casas. Our focus today is on companies, stocks and ETFs dealing in cryptocurrencies. And my guest is Gerber of Gerber Kawasaki. Crypto companies have been caught in the general risk-off sentiment that hit other tech stocks since the start of the year. The Bitwise Crypto Industry ETF is one fund that tracks this space. It's fallen 56% from its peak on November the 9th. That's an even steeper drop than that suffered by Bitcoin, which has fallen 47% over roughly the same time frame, as it and other coins saw fierce selling in the first few weeks of the year. These firms are varied. They include currency exchanges such as Coinbase, financial institutions like Silvergate Capital, software company MicroStrategy, which also holds a lot of Bitcoin, and miners like Hut8, among others. They have, like the cryptocurrencies themselves, had a volatile ride, even as they were reluctantly accepted by the wider financial community. So, what's the outlook for this sector, and is it suitable for investors who don't have the most steely nerves? Let's ask Ross Gerber of Gerber Kawasaki. Ross, hi. What do you think is fueling the sell-off in these companies since the beginning of the year? Is it justified?
Yeah, it is because, with Bitcoin, what you do get for sure is volatility, but smart investors are able to take advantage of this because those of us who've been involved with the cryptocurrency community for a long time are pretty used to these big, steep declines followed by big rises again. So this is an opportunity for long-term investors who want to be invested in the space, but one must be very cognizant of the risk involved in getting involved with an entirely new financial system. So I want investors to understand, although we believe there are great rewards in investing in crypto and the ecosystem, there's also great risks, and I think we're seeing that now.
Is it only then for people with nerves of steel? You said it's a roller coaster. Does that mean that ordinary investors should stay away?
No, it doesn't. I think what it means is that if investors aren't comfortable with their investments, whether it be stocks or cryptocurrencies, then they're not allocated correctly. And they should see a financial advisor like myself and build a financial plan so that crypto makes sense within your portfolio so it doesn't cause an increase in anxiety and risk without the other increase in return. So I think for a lot of investors, they're over risked. And so they own, we see a lot of people that own Tesla and crypto. That's their portfolio. And we're like, it couldn't be more high risk. So I think crypto has a place in a portfolio, but it's a smaller place for most investors and a place that they could be comfortable seeing the volatility.
What about the prospect of regulation then? We know the SEC is worried about how much retail investors could lose. In other countries, regulators are concerned about the amount of energy used by cryptocurrency mining. What kind of impact might this have on the sector?
Well, I think there's lots of places where cryptocurrencies, because they're unregulated and it's a financial system and it uses a lot of energy, there's lots of places that there's risk and uncertainty. And many of the coins are also changing the way they work to be more efficient and faster. So once again, this is like super early stages of building a brand new financial system, which is decentralized, which has different challenges than building a centralized system like we have with the Fed, for example. So I think investors have to realize that this is only a 13-year-old financial system, and it took hundreds of years to get the US financial system to work somewhat correctly. So you're in early, and I think for a 10, 20-year time frame, investors will be well served, but it will be a volatile ride and with lots of regulation and risks involved.
If we're talking about equities that help you access this space rather than buying the cryptocurrencies themselves, I know that your fund owns quite a lot of Coinbase. Where else do you think there are good stocks in this space, and why?
Well, Coinbase, I think, is one of the purest plays on the ecosystem of Bitcoin, and they run, I think, a very good firm compared to some of the other exchanges. And they've gotten a lot better over the years with things like customer service, and their platform's great. We own a stake in Square as well, which has gotten cheap. Both Coinbase and Square, I think, are great ecosystem investments. I think if you want more of a pure play on Bitcoin, a company like MicroStrategy, which we don't own because we actually own direct Bitcoin, but if you're looking to get exposure to Bitcoin prices, MicroStrategy is a good way to do it. Essentially, it's just a big Bitcoin company. And miners like HUD-8 you mentioned are interesting investments, which also hold a lot of cryptocurrencies on their balance sheets as well. So there's plenty of places to get exposure in the stock market without having to buy an ETF. But what we typically recommend investors do is buy Bitcoin and Ethereum on their own using apps like the Gemini app or Coinbase. And we prefer and that's what we do at our firm is we actually buy the Bitcoin for our clients and hold it for themselves, because I think that's the best way to play Bitcoin is by owning the coins themselves and in your possession.
Thanks so much for that, Ross Gerber, President and CEO of Gerber Kawasaki. Well, before I go, let's take a look at some of the top stories in this space. Cryptocurrency platform Wormhole suspended transactions after hackers stole more than $320 million from its site in the fourth largest crypto theft on record. It later said the vulnerability had been patched and that, quote, all funds were safe, without giving further details. A London-based blockchain analysis firm called Elliptic said Wormhole has offered the hackers $10 million to return the stolen funds. The theft is the latest to shake these mostly unregulated, decentralized finance sites, which allow users to lend, borrow and save cryptocurrencies while bypassing traditional gatekeepers such as banks. The US Securities and Exchange Commission says it hasn't decided on whether to allow the listing of a spot Bitcoin exchange-traded product by Bitwise Asset Management. It says it's asked for public comments on the application and will initiate proceedings to decide the fate of the listing of the Bitwise Bitcoin ETP Trust on the NYSE Arca exchange. The delay comes after the SEC has denied similar products by several issuers in recent months, including Fidelity, Skybridge and Valkyrie, which would provide easy access to digital currencies for retail investors. And finally, fancy a coffee with a side of crypto? This Thai cafe has installed data screens for customers to keep track of cryptocurrency prices and trends. It also offers free investment consulting and is planning on starting its own cryptocurrency coin. Cryptocurrency trading has picked up momentum in Thailand, with $7.62 billion worth of transactions in November 2021 alone.
The customers who come here can be separated into three types. First, experts who want to have a community. Second, people who just started investing and want to meet new people. Third, the ones who know nothing about crypto but just want to take a photo.
And that's your roundup of crypto stocks. I'm Elena Casas, and this is Reuters.